Right, hello and welcome to the demo video for the reoccurring service reminder. Now, what is a reoccurring service reminder? Actually, this is a tool that's ideal for people like accountants. In fact, it's made with accountants in mind, obviously not exclusively for accountants, but it's quite useful for their business structure. And I'll show you why. What it does is it allows you to create services. In fact, let's just take a look at the service list and it'll explain some more. If you offer services, for example, if we look at accountants, you do wages, or you do tax returns, or you do VAT returns, or you do end of year accounts, or whatever the case might be, and each of those have a frequency at which they occur. So some will occur weekly, some fortnightly, 4-weekly, monthly, quarterly, 6-monthly, annually, however they occur. Those are actually the options you've got. If you have a look at the drop-down list, or if you go back to the intro and setup, you'll see those are the options. You've got weekly, fortnightly, 4-weekly, monthly, quarterly, 6-monthly, or annually. So if all of the services you offer fall within those periods, i.e. you have to do the service every week or every fortnight, so on and so forth, if your services fall within those categories, then this is definitely an option for you. What it does then is you can set up your services. You can put the full service name here in the column. The short name, that's just will be used for the headers. You just put a shortened name so you know what it is, and the headers will show with a short name. And then you select the frequency, how often does it occur. And these two columns are optional. You can put the time taken to do it, if there is a set time to do that particular service, and then the price. All this does is it just kind of gives you a total of your year, what you need to be doing. What kind of income you can expect over the year, and how many hours you're going to be using, and what your calculated rate is per hour. That's just for your information. But the rest of this, you really need to be able to put in the full service name, short name, frequency, at least those 3 columns. So what does that do? Once you've listed your services, you can list up to 30 of them. You can list up to 30 services. Once you've listed your services, then what you can do is you can create a client list, and you can list up to 250 clients. I'll just put client 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can name them. You can sort this one. You can't sort your services when you need to put them in whatever order you want them, because those ones appear at the top here as column headers. And then all you do is each client, each service, you put a starting date for when they're going to start that particular service. So if they're not using, say if client 1 isn't using service 2, just leave it blank. If they are using service 1, put in the start date, i.e. the first date you need to do that particular service for them. So they don't necessarily have to be they don't necessarily have to be the same date for each service. You could start that in Jan. If they come in 6 months later, or so we'll say 1st of July, whatever, and say, can we now start service 3? Then you just put 1st of July in on service 3. So you can put 1st of July in, and then service 3 will start on that date. So you basically just put the date in per whichever client and service that each client takes. You put the date starting for that particular service and that particular client, and that's something you put in once at the beginning when the client signs up, or when they start each service. Put the date in. That's done. You don't have to touch that again. That just marks their starting date for each particular service. Then what you do is you come to the schedule. Now, as you can see, the schedule, they all change color. They've got some text in some of them. The reason being the ones with the text have already been done. So according to this schedule, you can very quickly see that there are actually 2 services. It says 2 yellow alerts. And those yellow alerts mean that there are 2 services coming up that need to be done in the not too distant future. What could be considered a yellow alert? Well, you can go to intro and setup, and you can state how many days before the due date does it come up as yellow, and how many days before the due date does it come up as orange. And you can select different number of days for each one, because obviously a weekly one you may only want to be reminded the day before on the day, but an annually one you might want to be able to know. An annual service, you might want to have a good few days notice. So you can put in what construes as an orange alert or a yellow alert, how many days. Obviously, an orange alert is more urgent than the yellow alert. You can also put in how many days grace you give for each thing. So in other words, if something that's get done annually is due on the 1st of December, you can say, well, actually, we give them 30 days grace, so it can be done any day during the month of December, because then it'll only mark as being done late if it's done beyond those 30 days. So that you can change anytime. Those are your settings. That'll determine which alerts show up and which ones show up as acceptable as far as done on time are concerned. So let's go and have a look at where we left off. So your schedule will show in the different colors based on your different alerts what's coming up, because it knows what's been done. So you go, if you want to see, if you don't want to scroll down and scroll across, you actually want to see, okay, I want to get a nice list of all the tasks that are coming up that are due in order of urgency. Well, that's very simple. That's all on your task list. So that actually shows you the status, the date, the client, it shows you the full service name, and it shows you the shortened name, it shows you the frequency, it even shows you the time that it's going to take roughly if you put the times in, and the price if you've put prices in. So this is a list of all of your services. Now, you've only got 25 lines on this page. It's going to show you the top 25. If you had more, and that said page 1 of 2, you would then be able to change this to 2, and you'll be able to see page 2. Now, obviously, when you go to page 2, just bear in mind you want to go back to page 1. I can't change this to page 2 now because there is only one page, and it'll only let me go up to page 1. But if that says of 2, then you can select 2 to see page 2. So instead of putting thousands of lines down here, I've decided to put 25 and let you decide which page you want to look at. So my suggestion is to always keep it on page 1, and then you'll see the most urgent ones at the top. It gives you a count of each one. Now, yellow is one's a yellow alert. Orange are orange alerts according to your settings. Red is anything that's overdue, and if it's twice overdue, basically, in other words, if you reach the deadline and you've gone beyond that deadline and actually reached the next deadline as well. So obviously, particularly for weekly ones, if you go beyond the week and you get into the second week, so in other words, you've actually not only had the one that you're supposed to have done expired, but the next one's also gone past, then that goes as 2 times overdue, which is black. Now, those ones you might want to remove the service if they're not doing them anymore. Otherwise, you really need to get cracking on those ones because you're well behind. Another thing that you can do is you can filter by service. So if you say, well, actually, I want to see all the services coming up, but I just want to see service 1, you can select that, and then you can see here only services 1 will show. Alternatively, you can say, well, actually, I'd just like to see for a particular client, and you can say, I'd just like to see client 1, and you can see only client 1's upcoming services will be shown. So you can filter, you can even filter by client and service if you just want to see a particular service for a particular client. But then if you leave them blank, it obviously brings up everyone. So that's your task list. So you can pull up your task list, and then when you see, okay, well, hang on, here we go. This client is due today being the 8th of May. This client is due in 2 days' time, the 10th of May. If you go to that one and you say, well, if that particular job gets done, then all you do is you go back to the schedule, you see client 4, service 1, client 4, service 1, there they are. You click on that, and if you click on the drop-down list, it gives you the next, so it will give you today's date with the next due date. So that's obviously the one that you're doing. If you're not doing the one due on the 10th of May, 2019, don't click on it, because once you click on it, it goes on and it then starts looking for the next one, and you can't necessarily go back. If you do click on it by mistake, I suggest you very, very quickly go to the back arrow and go back again, because basically it only keeps track of the last one done. It doesn't keep track of all the ones done previous to that. The spreadsheet doesn't store the excess data. All it does is it keeps track of the last one. So you only really want to click it once you've done it. So once you've done when you click on that one, you go, I've done the one for the 10th of May, and yes, it was done on the 8th of May. You can see that the first date is today's date. The second date is the date when that particular thing was due, that particular service. And if that's correct and you've done that, then you can click on it to say, yes, that one's been done. And it updates, then it starts looking for the next one, and it'll then start reminding you for the next one that's due, and it'll take this one off, and it won't be a priority anymore. What you can also do is you can come onto the last task complete, and you can actually see the last service 1 task for client 1 was completed on the day. The last one for the service 4 for client 1 was 4 days overdue, but 4 days overdue for a service 4 is actually acceptable, so it comes up in green. You can see that was 2 days overdue, 6 days. Now you might think, well, why is 1 day, 4 days overdue acceptable, but 2 days overdue isn't? Because this is probably a weekly task, and that's greater than a week. That's why it all depends on your settings. So as you can see, 50% of the tasks have been done on time, 50% have been done late, and then you can get a good view here of actually what percentage of your tasks are being done late and what percentage of your tasks are being done on time. So this page updates automatically. This page updates automatically with your selections over here. Your schedule updates, or the colors will update automatically. All you need to do on your schedule page is add, oh yeah, there was one other thing. You need to add clients. What I've done is when you add a client onto your client list, because you can sort these in alphabetical order, I didn't want these ones automatically populating so that you can, because then these are going to change and these dates aren't going to line up with the people every time you add someone and resort. So when you add a new client, if we go in here and we say, let's just add client 6, and say, for argument's sake, the 1st of May, let's say 1st of January, they have started, or actually 1st of, what is the date today, 8th of May, they're starting a service 4, that's it, just that one service for client 6. When you come to the schedule, you'll then see it says 1 client missing. The reason why it says 1 client missing is because there's no client 6 here. So all you do then is you come here and you'll see now client 6 will be on the drop down list. So just select client 6 and automatically it'll start the countdown for their particular service. The reason why I've done it like that is because if you put formulas in here to bring those across, then these aren't going to line up with those and you're just going to have an absolute mess. So all you do is you add them on. If you come and remove a client from here, so you come and say, well, I'm going to take client 6 off of this list, and then you go back to your schedule, you'll see there'll be yellow going client not on list. Then all you do is just remove them in the client list, and you can clear any of those if you filled in anything. That is how it works. So really, you start off with a service list, make sure that all of that information is correctly filled. And if you want to add another service on later on, you can do that, but just don't sort anything on this page. I've locked sorting because if you do that, it's going to cause issues on the other pages. Your client list, as I said, add the client name, put in the date when each particular service starts. Your schedule, select the client name if you add a new client, and then follow those colors. And when they're due and you see them on the task list, just come back here and go, okay, if you've just completed that task, just select it, and then it starts the countdown for the next one, and it removes it. So if you come back to your task list, you'll see that one's now gone, and it removes it, and now it goes in line for the next service. So you can keep this rolling on as you go along, tracking your services. These 2 spread tabs, as I said, are automated. And the beauty of this one is you can come back at any stage and change these if you want to change these settings. It'll alter things like the different colors on the tabs, but it's not going to mess anything up, so you can come back and change those at any stage. So that is the reoccurring service reminder. It's not the most flash spreadsheet with all the graphs and charts and exciting tables and things like that. But what it does a job. It does it extremely well. It's one that's actually very complicated to make. I've got to say, it's one of the most difficult ones I've made for the store. It's quite a large spreadsheet in actual fact for what it is. If you have a look, it's 3 megabytes. It's quite big for this size spreadsheet. A lot of formulas doing a lot of things, and extremely complicated formulas. But it's all done to make your life as simple as possible, so that you can keep track of when everything is due for all of your different clients, all the different services you offer. So if that's something for you, I wish you all the best for your business. If it's not, I hope you find the right thing. If you like this, but it's not quite doing what you want, you want more clients with fewer services, or you want something changed around, get hold of me and we can discuss some bespoke options. So thank you very much for watching. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.